The hall was grand and cold, filled with aliens from many stars. Tall figures stood in armor. Some had scales, others had glowing eyes. But today, all eyes were on the humans and the Zellari Empire. The war had ended 2 months ago. Humanity had won. No one expected it. The Zellari had ruled space for over 500 years. They were proud, psychic, and saw others as weak. But the humans did not bow. They fought hard, lost many, but never gave up. In the end, the Zellari had to ask for peace. Captain Elias Ward stood tall among the human leaders. He had dark eyes, short brown hair, and a scar across his cheek from the final battle. He wore his black and gray uniform with pride, but his face showed no emotion. He didn't trust this meeting. Across from him stood High Lord Curex of the Zellari. His skin was smooth and silver. His crown floated above his head without touching. Next to him stood a young Zellari woman. She had pale skin like ice, white hair that reached her waist, and bright violet eyes that looked sad. "This," Lord Curex said in a cold voice, "is my gift to the human hero, a symbol of peace ... and respect." The room went silent. Elias raised an eyebrow. "A gift?" he asked. "A noble of our house. She will serve you now." "A gesture of our ... Deep admiration," Curex said. His lips curled slightly just for a second. A smirk. Elias understood. It wasn't a gift. It was a joke, a cruel insult. In Zellari culture, giving away a noble woman as a servant was the same as throwing her in the trash. They meant to shame her and him. The girl stepped forward. She looked down, hands clasped in front of her. She said nothing. "What's her name?" Elias asked. Curex didn't answer. He turned his back as if the matter was done. "She is called Varel," whispered another Zellari beside her. "She is of royal blood, but unwanted." Elias looked at the girl. She didn't look at him. She stood straight, proud in her own way, though her eyes showed pain. He felt a tight anger grow in his chest. But he didn't show it. "I accept her," he said calmly, "under one condition." The room turned quiet again. "She is not my servant. She will be under my protection. No chains, no orders. If she chooses to leave later, she may." Murmurs filled the hall. The Zellari were shocked. Even some humans looked confused. Varel slowly lifted her head. Her eyes met Elias's for the first time. There was surprise there. And something more. Something small. A spark. "Very well," said Curex, barely hiding his anger. "Do with her as you will." The shuttle left the station and entered the quiet black of space. Inside, Varel sat across from Elias. She hadn't spoken since they left. "You can speak freely," Elias said. "No one here will punish you." She looked at him, unsure. "You confuse me, human." "I expected ... less kindness." "You're not an object," he said simply, "even if your people think so." Varel looked down at her hands. They were thin, graceful, with a slight glow beneath the skin's Zellari energy. She was born into power, trained in control of mind and emotion. But today she felt lost. "Why did you accept me?" she asked. "If I refused, they would have killed you later in silence," Elias replied. "This way, at least you're safe." "Why would you care?" he smiled faintly. "Because I've seen too much death, and I don't like bullies." Varel didn't smile, but her eyes softened. For the first time in years, someone saw her as more than a symbol of failure. Days passed on the human outpost, known as Arc 7. It orbited a quiet gas giant and served as a research and recovery base. After the war, Varel stayed in guest quarters, not locked away. She had her own room, books, food, and peace. But peace was strange to her. She was raised in a world of rules and silence. Now, human laughter echoed through the hall. Soldiers joked. Scientists shared coffee. It was a different kind of empire. Elias visited her daily. He never asked her to serve. Instead, he asked questions about her culture, her talents, her training. In return, he told her about Earth, oceans, forests, the taste of rain. Varel had never been to such a planet. Her home was a floating citadel above a dying star. One day, he showed her a hologram of Earth. "Beautiful," she said softly. "Still recovering like us all," Elias replied. She looked at him. You say us, but you don't see me as part of you? Not yet, he admitted, but maybe one day. One night, alarms rang through Arc 7. A reactor fire had started in the engine bay. Smoke spread fast. People panicked. Varel woke to the sound of running boots. She stepped out, saw the fear, the confusion. Then she heard a cry, a child's voice. The daughter of a technician, trapped behind a sealed door as fire spread. Varel didn't think. She moved. She pressed her hand to the door. Her eyes glowed bright. Her voice spoke ancient Zalari words. The metal groaned, then buckled. The door opened, and she pulled the girl out. Fire burst behind her, but she shielded the child with her own body. A moment later, Elias appeared, gas, mask on, grabbing them both and pulling them to safety. After the fire was put out, word spread fast. The alien girl had saved a child. The base saluted her. Elias called her brave, but Varel sat quietly in the infirmary, holding a burn-on. Her arm. She looked confused. You saved a life, Elias said gently. I broke a law, she replied. In your empire, maybe. In mine, that makes you a hero, she blinked slowly, eyes wet. You mean that? Yes, she looked away. Then, maybe I like your empire better. Weeks passed. Varel began to change. She dressed in human clothes now, simple and light. She helped in the labs, taught young humans about Zalari history, and learned how to cook Earth food badly, but she tried. Elias began to laugh more. He looked at her differently. She looked back the same way. They were not just friends now. Something more was forming. Something dangerous, because peace was fragile, and not everyone wanted them to be close. One night, Varel walked to her room. She felt something wrong, cold energy, like a mind watching her. A masked figure jumped from the shadows with a blade. She fought, but he was strong. Then a voice shouted Elias. He charged the attacker, fought hard, and was stabbed in the side. Varel screamed, eyes glowing. A pulse of psychic force knocked the attacker back. He fell unconscious. She dropped to her knees beside Elias. Stay with me, she begged. His eyes were fading. You're not a gift, he whispered. You're a blessing. And then everything went dark. Captain Elias Ward lay on the medical bed, pale and still. His uniform was torn, blood dark across his side. The knife had gone deep. Beside him sat Varel, her hands glowing softly over his wound. Her psychic power was weak compared to others of her kind, but her touch was careful, focused. She whispered quiet words in Zalari tongue, trying to help the healing process. The human doctor, Lieutenant Mary Jo, watched in silence. You're not trained in medicine, she said softly. I'm not, Varel replied, her voice shaking. But I will not let him die. Elias had saved her life more than once. He had treated her with kindness when no one else would. She couldn't explain why he mattered so much, but she knew she couldn't lose him. The machines beeped slowly. His breathing was weak but steady. You should rest, Mary said. I'll rest when he wakes up. Elias woke 2 days later. His first sight was the ceiling of the medical bay. His second was Varel, asleep beside his bed, her head resting on the blanket near his hand. He turned his head slightly. Pain sparked through his body. Varel stirred, her eyes opened slowly. When she saw him awake, her mouth opened, then closed. Again, for a moment, she looked afraid to speak. Hey, he whispered. You're awake, she said, blinking fast. You foolish, brave man, you're still here. Where else would I go? She whispered. You protected me. You nearly died. I've been through worse, he said, but his voice was weak. She reached out and gently held his hand. Don't do that again. I'll try. They looked at each other in silence. Words were no longer enough. News of the attack spread across the galaxy. Human Command found the assassin part of a rogue Zalari faction that rejected the peace treaty. They wanted Varel dead and Elias out of the way. But the opposite happened. Human Command now trusted Varel more than ever. She had helped stop a terror cell, saved a child during the fire, and stayed loyal despite the attack, one by one. The people on Arc 7 began treating her not as a guest, but as one of their own. She moved freely through the base. She joined, planning meetings. She helped translate Zalari texts for science teams. Her knowledge was valuable. Elias recovered slowly. Varel visited him every day. She brought him earth tea and fruit. Sometimes she just sat beside him in silence. One night, as a soft rain fell against the dome of the base, Elias looked at her and said, "Do you miss your home?" She shook her head. "I don't know what home is anymore. But here with you, it feels close." Weeks passed. Elias healed fully. He returned to duty, slower at first, but strong again. His bond with Varel deepened. They began walking together. After work, talking, laughing. One evening, under the artificial starlight in the garden dome, Elias asked her, "What did your people teach you about humans?" Varel smiled softly. "That you were wild, unpredictable, dangerous." "And now?" "Still true," she said, and he laughed. "But there's more. You have heart. You keep going even when the odds are against you." He looked at her. "And what about you? What do you see in yourself now?" She paused. "Someone new. Someone I never got to be before." They stood in silence. Then he reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. That was the night they kissed for the first time. It was soft, unsure, but real. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. 3 months later, the universe changed again. Varel stood in front of the medical scanner, staring at the screen. "You're pregnant," the medic said, shocked. "The first human Zalari child? It's real." Varel said nothing. Her hands rested on her stomach. She hadn't planned it. Elias hadn't either. But when she looked at the glowing heartbeat on the screen, she felt no fear, only wonder. Elias sat in his office, reading reports. The galaxy was still unstable. Peace was hard. Some wanted war again. Human patrols were being attacked near the Zalari border. Then the door opened. Varel stepped inside, her face calm but her eyes filled with emotion. "I have news," she said. He stood. "What is it?" She held up a small screen showing the scan. "You're going to be a father." His breath caught. "Wait. Are you sure?" "Yes." He walked toward her, slowly, like in a dream. Then he laughed, a deep sound from his chest, and pulled her into his arms. She laughed too, and for a moment there was no war, no politics. Just two people, alone with a miracle, but the galaxy did not sleep. When news of the pregnancy leaked, everything changed. Many humans saw it as a hopeful sign, proof that peace and unity were possible, but others on both sides saw it as a threat. Zalari purists called Varel a traitor. Human extremists called Elias a fool. Threats came. Messages full of hate. Some wanted the child dead. Elias was ordered to take leave and go into hiding. Varel would go with him. They were moved to a secret Earth colony on a distant moon, protected by loyal soldiers. There, in the quiet, they waited. Varel sat outside the small shelter, watching the twin suns rise. Her hand rested on her growing belly. Elias stepped beside her, holding 2 cups of tea. He handed her one. "Are you scared?" he asked. "Yes," she whispered. "Me too. But I'm also proud," she added. "This child will be something new, a bridge." He nodded. "Then we'll protect that bridge, together." One night, the stars went dark. Power failed. A ship landed nearby. Rogue soldiers, wearing no flags, attacked the compound. Gunfire echoed in the night. Guards fell. Elias rushed Varel to the escape tunnel. "You have to go," he shouted. Double quotes. "No, not without you." "I'll hold them off. You have to protect our child." But before they could argue more, the tunnel collapsed behind them. A blast had cut off their escape. They were trapped. Then came a voice, cold, cruel. "Give us the child, and we'll let you live." Varel stood tall, eyes glowing. "Come and try." She and Elias fought side by side. She used her psychic power to throw attackers back. He fired with perfect aim, but they were outnumbered. Suddenly, a signal came through. Reinforcements had arrived. A human cruiser, the Resolute, had tracked the enemy ship and launched an attack. Explosions lit the sky. The rogue faction was defeated. Elias and Varel collapsed into each other's arms. They had survived again. 2 months later, in the safety of a high-orbit hospital above Earth, Varel gave birth. Elias held her hand as their daughter was born. She had pale skin like Varel, but human eyes. She cried loudly, with strength. Varel held her close. Allah, she whispered. Her name is Allah. Elias kissed both their foreheads. She's perfect. The galaxy watched in silence. Pictures of the child spread across systems. Some saw hope, some saw fear, but nothing could stop what had begun. A new age had arrived, one born not from war, but from love. The stars above Earth Station Orion looked peaceful, but peace was a thin sheet. Underneath, power moved quietly. Captain Elias Ward stood by the clear wall, holding his daughter in his arms. Allah looked up with bright, curious eyes. She was only 2 weeks old, but already alert. Her skin shimmered softly in the light, a mix of human warmth and Zalari glow. Varel walked up beside them. Her long hair was tied back, and her face looked tired but happy. She likes looking at the stars, she said softly. She's got your eyes, Elias replied, gently rocking the baby. And your stubbornness. Varel smiled. They stood there quietly, just a family. But outside that station, the galaxy had started whispering louder. Some feared the child. Others praised her. Many simply watched. The Galactic Council, a mix of alien leaders from dozens of systems, called an emergency meeting. The main topic, the child of human and Zalari. Blood. Some called her a miracle, others called her a threat. She is not just a baby, said High Chancellor Dromas of the Vakari. She is a political symbol. If the humans and Zalari unite through her, the balance of power will shift. The Zalari High Lord Kirex Varel's uncle spoke calmly. Her birth dishonors our bloodline. It breaks sacred law. That child must be removed. But the human ambassador stood firm. Touch her, and we'll respond with force. She is one of us. The room fell into quiet danger. No votes were made. But every leader knew, war or peace might now depend on one little girl. Meanwhile, back at Earth Station Orion, Elias met with General Sophia Wren, head of Earth Defense. You're being reassigned, she told him. We need you to command a new diplomatic team. Elias raised an eyebrow. You want me to be a politician? We need someone with your history, someone the aliens trust or fear, he sighed. And what about Varel and Allah? They'll come with you. You'll have full protection. But be careful, some of our own people are watching you now. Why? Because not everyone wants this alliance to succeed. Some believe the child makes you dangerous. Elias looked down at the folder in front of him. Then they haven't seen what I've seen. Their new mission took them to a neutral planet called Ceres, a place of ancient ruins and high diplomacy. The station there was beautiful, filled with art and green gardens. But Elias never let his guard down. Varel wore a simple human coat now, blending in, but eyes still followed her. Some humans smiled, some frowned. Some Zalari whispered when she passed, but Varel walked proudly, holding her child close. She had lived through shame, exile, and war. She was done hiding. One evening, a message arrived. It was a personal invitation from High Lord Curex. Meet me alone, it said. No guards, no tricks, for your child's future. Elias read the message twice. Then he showed it to Varel. He wants something, Elias said. He always does, Varel replied, but I'll go. No, I'm not letting you walk into that trap. Varel placed her hand on his. He's still my blood. And this might be our only chance to change things, Elias frowned. Then he nodded. I'll be nearby. You won't go alone? The meeting took place in an ancient garden of silver trees. Varel stepped into the moonlight. Lord Curex was waiting. He wore royal robes. His crown floated above his head, glowing faintly. You've changed, he said. So have you, Varel replied. You came here, didn't you? I came to see the child, he said. To see what kind of creature you've made. She's not a creature, Varel snapped. She's my daughter. Curex looked at her carefully. You always were. Different. Even as a child, you asked questions no one liked. You feared me even then. I feared what you could become. He stepped closer. Listen to me, Varel. Your child is dangerous, not because of what she is, but because of what others will do because of her. Wars start with less. Then help me stop that war, Varel said. Curex shook his head. It may be too late. I can delay things. If you return to the Zalari, raise the child in silence, hide her. No, Varel said firmly. She won't grow in shadows. Then you are dooming her. No, she whispered. I'm saving her. Curex looked into her eyes. For once, his voice softened. I loved your mother, you know. She believed in humans too. And it cost her everything. She would be proud of me. Curex didn't reply. He simply turned and walked into the shadows. A few nights later, the attack came. An unknown ship broke into orbit above Cerise. It fired at the diplomatic station. Security systems failed. Inside, alarms screamed. Varel grabbed Allah and ran as soldiers shouted. Elias fought to reach them, blaster in hand. Enemies in dark armor rushed the hall's mercenaries. Likely paid by anti-union factions, Varel fought with all her power. Her psychic energy burned bright, knocking attackers aside. She shielded Allah with her own body. Elias found them in time. Together, they held the attackers back long enough for human reinforcements to arrive. The enemy ship was chased off. But the damage was done. The message was clear. They weren't safe anywhere. After the attack, the Human Council made a new decision. Elias, Varel, and Allah would be given royal-level protection. They were no longer just a family. They were symbols of a new age. Allah became known across space as the Starborn Child. Her photo, a baby wrapped in silver cloth, held by her parents, was shown across 100 worlds. Some praised, some protested. But all paid attention. Varel and Elias moved to Earth, into the high towers of Unity Hall. From there, they helped write new laws between humans and Zalari. Varel became a voice for peace. She sat in chambers where Zalari once laughed at her. Now they listened. One day, after a long council meeting, Varel stood on the balcony of Unity Hall, watching the sunset. Elias walked beside her. She's growing fast, he said. She's strong. Varel nodded. And kind. She be more than we were. Varel turned and placed her head on his shoulder. She be the reason this galaxy changes. But far away, in the deep cold of forgotten space, others gathered, a dark council. Hidden factions. Shadows of old empires. She must be stopped, one voice growled. Before she grows. We'll wait, another said. Let them build their little peace. It'll hurt more when we break it. The lights faded. A storm was coming. The stars above Earth were no longer calm. Peace had lasted just 3 years since the birth of Allah, the first child of a human and Zalari. But now, dark ships gathered in hidden corners of space. Secret armies trained. Old enemies returned, and new ones rose in silence. It started with whispers. Then came the disappearances. Scientists, diplomats, and Union supporters vanished from outer colonies. Entire trade ships went missing. Everyone blamed pirates, but Elias knew better. This is a coordinated strike, he said at a high-level meeting in Unity Hall. Someone wants to break the treaty. They're not just targeting humans, Varel added. Zalari peace supporters are being killed too. General Wren stood, her voice sharp. We believe a new faction is rising. They call themselves the Pure Flame, a mix of extremist humans, rogue Zalari, and ex-military groups. Their goal is simple: destroy the child, break the alliance, and start a war. Everyone looked at Ila's photo on the screen, only 7 years old. Bright eyes. Soft smile. She didn't know it, but she had become the center of the galaxy. Varel and Elias were moved to a deep bunker beneath Earth's surface, hidden from all scans. Allah stayed with them. She had grown fast. Zalari genes made her stronger. Smarter, she could read both alien and human languages. She spoke in dreams. Sometimes, when she got scared, the lights flickered. Elias sat beside her one night, brushing her silver hair. Are we in danger again, Daddy? She asked. He paused. Yes. She didn't cry. She nodded. I saw it in my dreams. The black. Ships, the fire. Elias looked at Varel. She sees things. Like you, Varel looked worried. More than me. The attacks began suddenly. One by one, space stations fell. Not by war, by sabotage. Explosions from inside. No survivors. Then, one terrible night, the main Zalari homeworld of Kalsari Prime was attacked. The Royal Tower, Virel's old home, was destroyed by a stolen human warship. Over 10,000 dead, including Lord Curex. Varel sat in silence when she heard the news. He was proud of her, she said quietly. He never admitted it, but he was. Elias placed his hand over hers. We have to stop this, for him, for all of them, she nodded. It's time. The Human-Zelari Alliance held an emergency meeting. Inside a hidden moon base, leaders from both species gathered. The council chamber was tense. The war has already started, shouted Commander Val of the Zelari fleet. They're killing our people. We've lost 3 star bases, General Wren said. And we know who's behind it now. She tapped her screen. The image of a human man appeared, tall, bald, cold eyes. Commander Draven, she said. Once human, now outlaw. Founder of the Pure Flame, he believes humans should rule alone and aliens should submit or burn. And the Zelari faction? Someone asked. A former priest named Zariel, banished for radical beliefs. He thinks humans are corrupt and the bloodline must be purified. They want war, Elias said. And they're close to getting it. A Zelari diplomat leaned forward. What do we do? Elias looked around. We fight, but not just with weapons. With truth, Virel stepped up. We show them something stronger than hate. We show them our daughter. Alla stood before the cameras, holding her parents' hands. She wore a simple dress, white with a silver sash. Hello, she said to billions watching across the stars. My name is Alla. I'm not just human or Zelari, I'm both. Her voice was calm. I don't know why people hate each other. I don't know why they're scared of me, but I want to live. I want to play. I want to make friends from every planet. Is that so bad? People cried across the galaxy. Some hated her even more, but many changed their hearts. The Pure Flame struck harder. They attacked the Unity Relayer's main tower. It fell in 12 minutes. Elias, Virel, and Alla were moved again, this time to the starship Valiant, a mobile command ship that would serve as the new capital of the Alliance. Alla stayed in the command center with her mother, learning maps, watching fleets move. She's learning fast, the pilot whispered. She's meant to, Virel replied. Then came the day of betrayal. A trusted human officer, Captain Rise, turned. He disabled part of Valiant's shields and tried to smuggle Alla to a Pure Flame ship. They almost got away, but Alla screamed, and the lights exploded. Virel reached them first, her power burning the hallway in blue light. Don't touch my daughter, she roared. Rise fell unconscious. Alla was safe, but the message was clear, even here. They weren't safe. Elias made a decision. We strike first. General Wren nodded. We've located the enemy base, hidden on the dead world of Ravis V. It's time, Elias said. Virel stood beside him. Let's end this. The Valiant led a massive fleet, human warships, Zelari cruisers, even small civilian crafts converted for battle. The Pure Flame waited in silence. Their fleet was smaller but deadly. They had stolen tech, psychic bombs, cloaked ships above Ravis V. The final battle began. Elias led the ground strike. He wore upgraded armor. His blaster charged. Beside him were Zelari warriors, once his enemies. Now Elias Virel stayed in the command ship, guiding the battle through her mind. Linking pilots together, Alla stayed in the center chamber, protected by the best guards in the galaxy. I want to help, she whispered. You are, her mother said. You give us hope. The battle was brutal. Ships burned. Men and women died. The planet's surface cracked with bombs and fire. But then a break. Elias reached the enemy base. He found Draven inside, waiting. You're too late. Draven sneered. Elias pointed his weapon. You're done? They fought man to man. In the end, Elias won. Draven fell, high above. Zariel tried to destroy the Valiant using a stolen psychic core. He reached Isla's chamber, but before he could strike, Alla stepped forward. No more. Fear, she said. Her voice shook the walls. Energy burst from her, blinding white and soft silver. Zariel fell to his knees. I see it now. And he was gone. The war ended, not with a final bullet, but with the light of a child. The galaxy stood still. Millions watched as Elias, Virel, and Alla stepped onto the stage of the new Unity Council. This time, no one laughed. No one mocked. They bowed. And for the first time in centuries, peace felt real. 10 years had passed since the war ended. Alla Ward was no longer a child. She had grown into a young woman, strong, kind, and wise beyond her years. Her long silver hair flowed down her back. Her eyes still sparkled with curiosity, but there was depth in them now. She had seen too much to be naive. She lived with her parents, Elias and Varel, in the Unity Tower on Earth. It was no longer just a political building, it had become a symbol of peace. Underneath it, the new Alliance Council met every year. With both humans and Zalari sitting side by side, the galaxy had changed, but it was still healing. Some worlds had rebuilt. Others still carried scars, and Alla was ready to take her place in it. The council chamber was silent as Alla stepped in. She wore a new ceremonial robe, half Solari crystal armor, half human diplomatic cloth. It was a gift from both cultures. Everyone stood. No one told them to. They just did. She walked to the center and bowed slightly. "Thank you for trusting me," she said. Chancellor Wren, now older with gray hair, smiled proudly. "You've earned that trust." Alla turned to the gathered leaders. "It's time we stop surviving. We must begin building." There was quiet at first. Then came the applause. Later that night, she walked with her father in the Unity Gardens. "You did well," Elias said. She smiled. "I kept my voice steady, just like you taught me." He chuckled. "And didn't punch the Morak ambassador, just like your mother warned you." They both laughed, but then Alla grew serious. "Do you think they'll ever forgive each other?" "Fully?" Elias looked at the stars above. "I think they already are. It just takes time." Alla nodded. "Then I'll give them that time." Meanwhile, Varel stood alone on the rooftop, gazing out at the sky. Alla joined her quietly. "You don't come up here much." "I used to," Varel said softly. "When I first arrived on Earth, I felt lost. This view made me feel smaller. It helped." "You're not small, Mother. You're everything." Varel turned to her daughter and smiled. "So are you." They hugged, and the wind wrapped around them like a whisper. The next day, a strange signal reached Unity Tower, a soft pulse. Repeating numbers. A forgotten language. The tech teams translated it. It was a message from an unknown ship deep in the uncharted zone beyond the Zelari border. A single word appeared at the end of the signal. "Help." Alla sat with the council. "We can't ignore this," she said. "It could be a trap," one human admiral warned. "It could be someone like us," Varel answered. "Send a scout," Elias said. "We'll watch carefully," but Alla shook her head. "I'll go." "No," both parents said at once, but she stood firm. "This is what I was born for, to build bridges. If there's someone out there in need, I have to go." Silence filled the chamber. Then Chancellor Wren nodded. "She's right. We trained her for this," Elias sighed. "Then I'm going too," Varel added. "And me." And so once again, the family stepped into the unknown together. The journey to the uncharted zone was long. Their ship, Starborn 1, was quiet but strong. Alla walked its halls alone sometimes, thinking of the stories her parents had told her about war, about survival. Now it was her turn to lead. They reached the signal's origin 3 days later. What they found was shocking. A massive alien ship, ancient and broken, floating in space. Its design was nothing like human or Zelari. Strange curves, faint glowing symbols, partly organic, partly machine. They approached carefully. Alla stood at the viewing window, heart racing. "There's life inside," the ship's AI said. "Faint, weak, but still there." Elias tightened his grip on his weapon. "Let's go." They entered the ship in full gear. Inside, it was quiet, cold, air was stale, but breathable. And then they found them, 5 beings. Tall, thin, with smooth, gray skin and glowing eyes. Barely alive, Alla stepped forward and gently touched one of them. Its eyes opened. "You came," it whispered. "We heard your call," Alla said. "You are both flesh and light." "Yes," she whispered. "I am," the alien smiled weakly. Then hope was not lost. They brought the survivors back to Starborn 1 Medical. Teams worked fast. The aliens responded to healing. Their leader, a being named Kale, explained their story. "We were explorers, Kale said, his voice soft and echoing. We watched your galaxy from afar, we believed in peace. But our enemies hunted us, they called us corrupt. For wanting unity, Allah listened closely. You're like us, different, mixed. Kale nodded, yes, and hunted for it. Allah looked at her parents. We have to bring them back. When they returned to Earth, there was fear. Some leaders wanted to put the aliens in isolation, others wanted to learn from them. Allah stood before the council again. Don't repeat the same mistake, she said. They are not a threat. They are proof that other civilizations seek peace too. If we reject them now, we become the very monsters we feared. It took days, but finally, the vote passed. The aliens were welcomed not with parades, but with silence and open doors. Years passed. Allah became a true leader. She helped form the United Species, accord a new system of peace, trade, and shared knowledge across the stars. Not just for humans in Zalari, but for anyone seeking peace. She traveled from world to world, planting seeds of trust. Elias retired from the military. He opened a school to train peacekeepers. Virel became an ambassador for new cultures. And Allah, she became a symbol. Not just of unity, but of something greater. Hope. On her 25th birthday, Allah stood on a high platform at the galactic peace dome. Billions watched across the stars. She raised her hand and spoke. I was born from war. I was called a threat before I could walk. But today I stand before you not as a weapon, not as a queen, not even as a hero. I stand as proof that two worlds can become one. She looked into the camera. I am Allah Ward, daughter of human and Zalari. And I say to every child born in between, you are not a mistake. You are the future. Tears fell. Hearts changed. History turned far away. In a dark place where old leaders once plotted war, a statue stood, broken, forgotten. Once a symbol of power. Now covered in dust, and next to it, a child half Zalari, half another race drew in the sand. She looked up at the stars and smiled.